Hi guys, Denny here with Team Fishing for Life again. Just coming to you tonight with another video about one of my more favorite baits that we found the last couple years. I started using it the last couple years. I actually have known about it for a few years now, but before I get into that, I just want to thank our sponsor. We have Motor Haven here on my shoulder. Motor Haven is a great sponsor of ours this past year. We appreciate their support and a place to just what says Motor Haven to store your motorhome or any type of different thing. It's here in the Kansas City area. So look up Motor Haven if you're needing someplace to store your big old RV or your truck or whatever else you need to store that's large. So they'll take good care of you there. So today's bait, like I said, I've been throwing for a couple years, but really started throwing it more consistently the last 2 years. I know Randy Blockett on his YouTube channel has talked about it a couple times. I've seen a couple other places also talk about it. I'm just going to give my perspective on it and see what you guys think about it. You guys may know already if you recognize this bait. This one is called, I'll show you a little closer. It's called a Megabass Dark Sleeper. I love this bait. This is a finesse version for me of either instead of throwing a jig or a Texas rig, I'm gonna throw this bait a lot of times in cleaner water, or if I need more finesse presentation. This bait's really cool. It's got a couple things I really like about it. The first thing that I really enjoy about it is that, well, first of all, it looks awesome. It looks like a goby. If you guys don't know what gobies are, they're not around here in the Kansas and Missouri area, but they have them up in the northern lakes. The smallmouth love them. All fish love gobies. It's just like the main prey that they eat up there. So, but this one has so it looks awesome. This one has a weight in the head. The Megabass Dark Sleeper has the weight all the way up front in this head. And it's got a really flexible tail. What that allows it to do, comes in a couple different weight sizes. First of all, it comes in a 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce weight. I think there's actually a 3/8 ounce as well. I generally use the 3/4 or the 1/2 ounce because I'm generally trying to get to the bottom pretty quick. And the nice thing about this bait is when it sinks head down since the weight's all in the front here, and it really wiggles that tail as it goes down. It's really going to go like this. It's going to kind of kick that tail all the way down, and it sinks pretty fast. So a lot of times on this bait, I'm going to get most of my hits actually on the first fall. So it's such a good looking bait, and it kicks so well on the way down. A lot of times I get a reaction strike around the first fall, the initial fall, kind of like a jig you would. Again, I do like throwing this in more clear water. I've not really thrown it in dirty water, but I do throw it in clear water situations, just over a foot of visibility. And like I said, I generally take the place of a jig or a Texas rig, and I'll throw this instead. So I like the colors. I like the size, about 2.5 inches. I also like the fact that it's got the weight in the head to where if I'm throwing it and I'm throwing it up on a point, I can let it sink all the way down and kick. It's going to hit the bottom. And then I have a couple different ways to retrieve it. I can retrieve with hops, kind of hopping down the point like this. As far as every ledge it goes down, it drops and kicks again. Another drop, down, kicks again. And a lot of times those fish are sitting on those ledges, and this thing will kick right down and just sit there, and they're going to hit that on the fall. And again, it looks so natural that they love it. They just eat it, as opposed to something maybe a little bigger presentation. It's a nice 2.5 inch bait. The other thing you can do with this bait is, a lot of times we throw swim baits. We'll throw 1/4 ounce head swim baits or a little smaller than that, and we'll work towards the bottom with those. The nice thing about this is it's like a swim bait presentation as far as finesse, but you can work it right along the bottom. It's like a swim bait on the bottom. If you're just reeling real slow, you're kind of dragging the head, and it's still kicking that tail all the way across. It looks like a little fish, a little minnow, or not minnow, more like a shad, or I guess a goby technically, and it's kicking along the bottom there. And so sometimes I'll hop it on the ledges, sometimes I'm just going to swim it and hit the head on the bottom. So the other thing I really like about this bait is the hook, the weedless component to that. Whoever designed this said, we're going to put a little different spin on this. So I'm going to show you that real quick. So they have you got the bait there, and then you've got the fin, and the hook is right in the middle there. So I'm going to flap the fin over. You see the hook in there? It's right in the middle between those two flapper fins. So it makes a weedless component to it. It's not completely weedless, but it's pretty weedless. But it's still pretty easy to take those flaps down when you set the hook. It's still gonna get those fish. And I don't miss many hookups with this. They generally, when they eat this thing, it's down their throat. Fished a tournament at Pomme de Terre. It was a KC Team Tour tournament last year with Darren Jones, partner fishing down there. And it was the last tournament of the year. We needed to do well to place well to win Angler of the Year. And we found some fish and they were heavily pressured fish. It was a very known spot, but we said, you know, we're gonna fish more, you know, presentations that are a little more subtle and see if we can catch those fish even though they've been pressured. Sure enough, this was the deal. This was the bait that caught those fish, and when those fish were eating this bait, we're talking about 3 or 4 pounders, good sized fish, good tournament fish that you want. That lure is all the way down their throat. I mean, all the way down. They would have it to where I could barely see the bait down that big old throat, and we'd have to get it out. And that tells you that they had no hesitation or reservation about eating this bait. They just ate it. They weren't just mouthing it, they were swallowing it. And that's always a good sign when you're a tournament fisherman if they have it all the way down there. So this bait is awesome because it's small, but just bulky enough when they bite it, they're not going to nibble it. They're going to have to, they suck it all the way in. They know they have to suck it in because it's big enough for that. So love this bait. Like I said, you don't miss many hookups with it because they eat it so well. And not just big fish either. I've caught a bunch of 13 inchers on this thing, and they're having it all the way down the throat too. They just, when they eat it, they destroy it for whatever reason. It's a great bait. It kind of, I'm guessing, you know, we don't have goby here, like I said, but I'm guessing it imitates a bluegill as well, a little bit, like a baby bluegill. I think that's part of what it imitates, and that's why they eat it so well down here. So great bait. If you want to fish something more finesse, you want to fish something that's not a jig on the bottom, or you need to get closer to the bottom, you're throwing a swim bait, but the fish are down towards the bottom, this is an awesome bait. You can reel it up in the water column too. If you just reel it, it's just going to work like a swim bait, but it's going to track closer to the bottom just because it's a heavier weight on it. You could use a 3/8 ounce, I guess, and get it a little higher in the water column, but the ones I use, it's pretty much on the bottom. As far as setup, I use a spinning reel. You know me, I like spinning stuff. So I'm throwing this on a 7'6" medium heavy rod. I'm going to throw in 12-pound Sunline Sniper. You know, I love that line, 12-pound Sunline Sniper, to have good shock absorber. It's not going to break on me. I can handle it. I can still cast this thing a mile with that. And then I'll put it with a Stratic 3000. So those are the things I'm going to use to throw it with. It's a great bait. And I'm going to set the hook hard with this thing. They're going to swallow it. I'm not going to slam them like I would a jig, but still I'm going to give it a little pop when I set that hook to make sure it gets all the way in there. And like I said, I haven't had a problem ever with missing fish on this. When they eat it, they eat it. So that's a nice thing about it. So if you guys are looking for something a little more finesse or looking for something new to try, kind of a combo jig / swim bait, the Megabass Dark Sleeper is the way to go. And they come in all kinds of different colors and sizes. Just check them out, and let me know in the comments if you guys catch any fish or what you've caught on these, or if you have any different techniques of fishing these with. I'd like to know your guys' different techniques. I've not fished it a lot in grass. I've fished a tiny bit, but not a lot. It's been more on rocky situations or around brush or covers. So it's been great in those situations, and I hope it's great for you guys too. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.